Hey everybody, how's it going? So today we're going to be working on a MacBook. Let's try and fix this MacBook and see if we can make it work again. Here we have an A1706 MacBook Pro that's not powering on. This is a Touch Bar MacBook Pro. This could be a model from 2016 or 2017. Still a very popular model among people that don't feel like buying a new computer every year. And we're going to see if we can make this thing work without them having to buy another one each year and, make some nice tiers for Tim Cook. What do you see? The first thing that I see are underfilled CD3215s. Those are scary. So let's hope that that's not the actual problem with this MacBook. Because if it is, I have a machine for Paul. Now the first thing that we do on these machines, as always, is unplug the battery. Because I don't want to see how much power the battery plus the board is taking. I want to see how much power just the board is taking. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. Yoink. Pull. 20 volts, 19 milliamps. 20 volts, 19 milliamps usually means that there's a short to grounds on PP bus G3 hot, which would be, that would be awesome. Is Biden going to help your business? Just say you love him. Listen, man, I had a business with George W. Bush. Not really a business. That was the beginnings of a business. I had a business under Obama. I had a business under Trump, and I will have a business under Obama version 2. It's like I'm the... Again, if you're in the coal industry, okay, fine. You may have a reason to say maybe my job is going to be less likely to continue under a Democratic administration or something. But, like, people are just so ideologically possessed. Like, I have people showing up in my comments. This was happening in 2016, too, where people were saying all these things that are going to happen to my business if Trump wins or if Hillary wins, and now if Biden wins. It's just... And you people, but one of the ways my martial arts instructor puts it, he says all these, like, all the people you see with a lot of people you see making these comments, they just see this as WrestleMania. Like, to them, this stuff is WrestleMania. It's not even about how it necessarily affects them personally. It's not about how it affects them. It's just one big, people grow out of WrestleMania, and this is the new version of it. Politics becomes their WrestleMania. Scariest thing about all this is that 4 years have already passed since watching Lewis talk about the possibility of Trump winning. I bet on him winning because Hillary wasn't even pretending to care about the issues of people in the Midwest, and Trump was hardcore good at pandering to them. I think Hope has maybe. That's the thing. At the very least, pander. If you're not willing to change, if you're not willing to create a policy or affect their lives in any way, shape, or form, at the very least, pander. That's the least thing Hillary could. I feel bad that you've lost your jobs. I really do. It's terrible. This needs to change. Something should Trump did it. He did a 5-star job of pandering to them. The outsourcing was occurring quicker under Trump than it even did under Obama. And it's going to be faster under Biden than it was under Trump. This is a pattern. This is a trend, and it's not something that you're going to reverse. I saw this movie on Netflix. It was about this Fuyon. I forget the name of the company, but it sounded like FU. Fuyon Glass Company or something. And they showed the speed. Just put pay aside. Put all that safety regulations, even all that stuff aside. They showed honest footage of workers in an American factory, and then they showed footage of workers in a Chinese factory, and dear God, I don't want to compete with them. Now, seriously, they were moving in perfect lockstep. It was like watching the military march versus Oreo the cat walking up a set of stairs. It was so you couldn't even compare it. It was something else out of this world. It's like, we're supposed to compete with that? Because there's a lot more too. I mean, granted, obviously, there's the whole slave wage shit. There's the lack of regulations. The fact that there's a bunch of the fact that you have a lot of people that are, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not exactly the best labor conditions, but when you look at just like the work ethic and that shit, I can say it as someone who's as an employer, it's really hard to find people who will at least pretend they're willing to work that hard in America. It's you go through a lot of people to find people that are that dedicated. or that will move in unison like that. It was just something else. And granted, maybe it was selective editing, maybe it was bullshit, but I kind of wonder. And I mean, the movie kind of exaggerated it because when they had the management from the American factory go over, the manager was so fat that he couldn't even fit into the uniform that they had. When the workers from America walked into the factory, they were like, "Oh," you could see their face just go, "Oh God, wait, so this is what we're competing with?" Like everybody there was just working in perfect unison. They had them like reciting numbers, and each one would respond when a particular number was called out. It was crazy. But yeah, my point being, if all you really had to do, all she really had to do is like at least pretend to give a shit about a lot of people's issues, and she didn't. So the one who was willing to pander the most won. But yeah, it's been 4 years. Shit, you're right, Paul Daniels. 4 effing years. China's literally using Uyghur slave labor in their factories now. Yeah, it's sad. You know what's kind of fucked up about that? All right, let me just see if it is a PP Bush shirt after all. And then we'll go back into this later because this is going to wind up taking up a lot of the video. But even if... So remember when that long piece came out in the New York Times about the Uyghurs and it detailed all of the atrocities and all of that, like November or December of 2019? And then COVID came out and well there was the impeachment stuff and then COVID. And now like the world has forgotten about that. And it's kind of sad. Because that was a hot button issue for a short period of time. And now it, how do I put this? It isn't. Yeah, that's what, yeah, it isn't. And it's kind of sad. Pretty sure the motivation is knowing the CCP could disappear you and your family. So, yeah, that's a good point. That is indeed a very strong motivation. That's probably a very strong part of the motivation. How do you motivate people that much without threatening to destroy their family, Aaron? That's the question. How are you going to get people in the U.S. to be able to do that level of work without telling them we are going to disappear you and your family to this terrible camp if you don't do what you're supposed to? And is that something that we'll be able to do? Because I think that's something we are going to have to be able to do at some point in order to start making stuff here again, if we even are. And also, let's just do the... All right, so we have a PP Bus short. Obviously a PP Bus short. Tracy says down with the CCP. Again, I'm not against you there, but like we got to so there's got to be something that you can do. So let's see. There's chat of a plan. The world forgot about Hong Kong too. Oh yeah, Hong Kong became yesterday's news. That's sad. It's sad how that happened because that was at the forefront of people's minds, and then COVID happened, and now COVID happened. Then the George Floyd stuff happened. Then the culture war stuff continued to spark up rage between the two different factions in America. And now it's kind of at a peak where we went from cultural war to real war, or close to real war. We'll see. Kind of curious what's going to happen on the 20th. By the way, can you see that? You see that? This is what I missed in the last video. Something like this that I missed. You don't even really need a thermal camera if you have your eyeballs. So this over here is a crack in the capacitor. And that crack in the capacitor is going to keep things from working the way that it's going to cause a short to ground. But you could tell that that thing has gotten burned to very badly. Very sad, Tracy says Hong Kong needs worldwide support. Listen, I agree with you, Tracy. I agree. I don't... It's one of those things where we have a lot of our own problems, and that's the thing. There's a lot of people that want to focus on a lot. They want to help the world in many different ways. But there's only so many problems that your brain can focus on at once, I think. And that's a big part of the problem. And at some point, if people feel like there's nothing that, if they don't feel like there's anything they can do about all these problems, they wind up becoming apathetic to it. It's a good point. What can you, sitting in your house in, I don't know, like Lexington, Kentucky, or Brookfield, Wisconsin, or Little Rock, Arkansas, or me in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, like what can I do to change the stuff that's going on in Hong Kong and China? Like, we know it's going, and once you really kind of process that you know it's going on, and that there's not really much that you can do about it, then it starts to get more and more discouraging and become this feedback loop into nihilism, which is, I think, where people are now. Le Soldator says we could storm the Capitol. See, that's not going to be very productive, though. That's not going to be very productive. It's not going to get a lot done. You know, I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, but there was a part of me that saw... How about this? There was a part of me that was somewhat happy to see that that kind of look on the faces of the people that represent us. I mean, again, I think that the pretense under which they were storming the Capitol was bullshit. I think that they've been wildly misinformed by a demagogue to begin with. But the thing is, imagine if, when politicians were making decisions that affected normal people, they kind of had to think to themselves, if we screw over the American people, and it's not like, you know, it's not a thing where, well, this side doesn't think we're screwing them and this side thinks they are. I mean, just rampant, obvious, you know, the kind of bullshit lobbyist corruption that I show in my Right to Repair videos, where everybody from all walks of life can see that you're clearly screwing Americans. If members of Congress actually had that sense of fear in them, that something like that could happen if they keep doing it, would they keep doing that, you know? Because I don't think members of Congress actually do fear the government. I think that people fear the government rather than government fearing the people, and I think that that's... Again, I'm not condoning what happened. I think that those people were batshit insane. But imagine if, you know, should I vote in a way that my constituents want me to vote, or should I listen to this $200,000 lobbying check or whatever? Like, imagine if they just thought, this is what could happen. And obviously that's not the conditions under which I'd want that to happen. And I'm not advocating for violence. But I wish our government at some points in time felt like they were accountable to the American people. I really wish that the government felt like it was more accountable to American people. John says the fact that Disney filmed right next to a Uyghur China camp and add in their credits they were grateful to film there, nothing's going to change. See, I didn't know about that. I actually didn't know about that. That kind of makes me sad because I have these happy memories of Disney World as a kid. I really enjoyed going to Disney World, and we actually had a company vacation there in December of 2014. We had a fairly stressful year. That was the first year that I started really ramping up doing board repair and house, and we ended the year with a vacation. The lead tech, Viniera, Steve, and myself to Disney World, and it was really fun. And they've said I want to go back there because I have happy memories associated with it as well. So it's kind of sad to hear that. I mean, if it's the truth, then it's the truth. And now, I'm not going to check to see if my short circuit is gone before I replace that cap. I don't need to check that the short circuit is gone before I replace that cap. I know it to be gone, and I will act on what I know. I've measured it with my mind, and it's not there. Or my mind is not there. Oh, that's fucked up, Regal. Yeah, that sucks. I feel the last season of the United States was better than the start off of the season rally. Past season left in a great cliffhanger. The season was just a pathetic opening. Listen, I much preferred the show 24 to this shit. I actually like watching 24. I should, but listen, there's a lot more left to happen. You know, again, you have election day. You have all the lunatics that are going to come out on election day, and you have a bunch of there's going to be a bunch more stuff. Okay, so let's see. Trust me, there's a lot more to this season of the United States. So firstly, you have January 20th, when Biden gets inaugurated. That's going to be something. Then you have, if Derek Chauvin winds up getting off on a technicality because of excited delirium or something like that, that's going to be a major one. What else do we have? Oh, the eviction moratorium ending. The eviction moratorium ending. So it's going to start in the areas that have the most expensive housing, like New York City. You're going to see it happen there. Then you're going to have when the city budgets get cut in half as a result of the property tax and all that not getting paid. That's going to be another set. There's a lot of fucked up stuff that's going to be unfolding in the U.S. soon, and it really does make me kind of wonder if I should just, get myself to a mountain town somewhere and spend the next 4 years in a bunker as it unfolds. Next 4, 5, 6, 8 years. Because even if there wasn't all the political turmoil and aggravation there was in the U.S., let's say there was no political culture war shit and, crusades people are making for their causes and all that, just the economic destruction in and of itself is going to result in a lot of misery. And just the kind of thing that I probably don't want to be around for. We'll see. But more important news, this board is working again. So as you can see, it's 780 milliamps. 780 milliamps are being taken. Our short is obviously gone. I don't need to measure it, Copaz. I just know. And that's what the cracked cap looks like. I'll probably add that to my wiki. As I said, making these videos has at this point become honestly incredibly boring to me. I don't get much out of it like I used to get out of it. Maybe it's because of the way the problems are now. Like the problems are either virtually unsolvable or stupidly easy on this particular suite of boards. I don't know if it's that or something else. But I'm really putting more effort into my wiki than I am into the YouTube channel when it comes to education. So if you want to learn how to do board repair, you probably want to check out the wiki rather than the videos. I'm going to be doing a lot more on the wiki than I am here. And if you check out the wiki, you'll see like I have this section here, let's say visual inspection for board repairs. I'm likely going to, and I'm adding pictures as I go. So here's what a shorted tantalum cap looks like. Here's what, see, you may think that this is innocuous, but this actually kept it from working. So I'll add a little description and I'll point to it. I'll add what corrosion looks like under a BGA. I'm adding all this stuff here to try to make it a little bit easier for you to be able to spot what I spot, but without having to do this for 5 or 6 or 8 years to get to it. So let's say on this machine, I've got a nice little troubleshooting guide here, and MacBook Pro A1706, we have it by either board number. So this has been organized by board number or by model number, and it'll take you to the link. And it's got a really nice detailed guide here where it explains everything that could possibly be wrong. And my intention is to take all the information from out of my head and from my staff's heads and make sure that it all goes here. So every time someone here fixes a board, every time I have them putting this stuff into a log that I then add to this. I want you guys to really be able to draw from the knowledge of that we all have here and collectively. And if you have knowledge we don't, or that we haven't documented, add to the list. The whole idea is to make the craft of doing this stuff easier for everybody, so that as many people as possible can make their machines work again if they didn't work, and as many people as possible can get involved in the industry, because let's face it, people need jobs right now. And honestly, one of the most wholesome feeling jobs that you get is when your job is not to like sit at a desk and pretend you're working or whatever, like a lot of these busy jobs they have now, but where you're taking something that would have otherwise been tossed in e-waste, You take it out of that e-waste and you make it work again. You get money and the customer gets something, and that would have literally had been discarded if not for your work. It's a really good feeling. I got into this business when the economy was getting destroyed at the end of 2008. This was pretty much the worst time that you can imagine to need money or to start a business that requires people to spend money, and it worked for me because when people don't have money, they stop buying new things and they seek to fix the things that they already own. So if you're out of a job, again, somebody out there probably has something broken, and hopefully this guide makes it a little bit easier for you to fix it. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.